Welcome back, guys, to the championship rounds. So we're back with another podcast. There's been a lot of fights this weekend in both the boxing world and the mixed martial arts world. So Sam's still in Tenerife. He's decided he's not coming back indefinitely because it looks like we're going into a lockdown. So he's out there loving the sun whilst I'm stuck here in rainy old England. But it was an exciting weekend. So on Saturday we had Matchroom boxing with a card, Chisora Parker. We had the UFC with the final show of the year, UFC Fight Night. Derek Lewis was on there, and also Wonder Boy. And finally, we had Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2. So redemption for Tyron Woodley was potentially on the cards after his disappointing last performance. But we'll dive into that later on in the podcast. So watch until the end because we will be going into that. And if you haven't already as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel because 95% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if we can get 95% of you to subscribe, we'll be as big as IFL TV. So make sure you hit that subscribe button.
We need to get to 100 subscribers. We're on 88 now. We just end the year with 100. That's all we need.
If we get 100, then we're just going to delete the channel. We've made it. But, Anyway, we're going to dive in first to the Matchroom boxing card. So credit to Eddie Hearn. It was actually a good card. There was a good undercard on this as well. Chisora versus Parker headlining. I think a lot of people were quite skeptical after the last fight between Chisora and Parker. It was quite a slow fight. It wasn't what people were really expecting. But this one definitely delivered. So I'll let Sam jump into the fight and we'll break that down.
I feel like Delboy, it was very weird. His energy systems are very weird because at certain points, it looked like he's done. He's against the ropes, getting landed on. You're thinking, finish is coming. And then suddenly he'll have like a 30-second to 45-second burst where he's just switching it around. And not only does he do that once, but he does that multiple times within the fight. So I don't understand this guy's cardio. I don't understand where he gets this second wind in every round after either being dropped or being dominated. But fair play to him, he had heart. But I've never seen a guy do that. I mean, you can maybe do it for one round, but not every time he's like getting rocked or being dropped. He comes back strong, and I think that's what made it a great fight.
It was honestly amazing. Like Parker looked so sharp early on. Yeah. In the end of the second round, I thought, "Fuck, man, Chisora's not going to last many more rounds."
Yeah, he looked tired.
And then every time he'd get dropped, he'd get back up and he'd go into the corner and he'd be fighting like this. It was like Parker was scared to go back in there because he was like a wounded animal with his back up against the wall and he was like swinging. There was one round where Chisora got knocked down, goes in the corner, regroups, and then he comes out swinging and wins the rest of the round. Like the guy, he's absolute warrior, man. Warrior.
The maddest thing is how he just casually just walks into that his corner. He just casually just like gets up, all right, just walks into that corner and he's like, come on then. I mean, like, he's got great head movement, but I think it was his downfall as well because he seemed to be ducking into the uppercut a lot. Yeah. But like when in the corner, his head movement kind of paid off, but Parker couldn't just get that finishing blow on him. But when they were fighting in the middle of the ring, every time that he ducked, Parker knew eventually he'd get caught by the uppercut. And that's what stunned him like a good few times, the uppercut.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. I think it shows Chisora's intelligence and obviously his experience that he would go over to the corner and he knew it had worked a couple of times. And a couple of times as well, the commentators were like, oh, he needs to get off the ropes and stuff like that. But for him, he knew exactly what to do to regroup and make sure that he was getting himself back into the fight. Because if he tried to go back into the center of the ring, his legs weren't even sturdy. So at least he's got those ropes to try and hold him up. He's got those ropes to try and balance off. But yeah, I thought it was a great fight, man. People definitely got their money's worth watching this one. As for what's next, Chisora put out a post today saying something like "F retirement. I'll see you guys next year" or something.
Yeah.
And
I think this year? Was this his first fight in the whole year?
No, didn't Parker and Chisora fought earlier on in the year?
Was it straight? Was it a straight rematch?
Yeah, it was a straight.
Okay.
It was a straight rematch.
Yeah.
They fought earlier on in the year. You need to check when Chisora Usyk was as well, because I don't know if that was late 2020, but he's fought some elite level fighters, man. And I understand he's 37 years old, but when he was in that ring, he looks like he's got a lot of fight still left in him. Like, if he wants to carry on, I don't feel like he's finished. Like, he could carry on. He's been fighting he's been fighting nothing but elite level boxers like Parker.
Yeah.
He's ex-world champion, Usyk, current world champion, like, and he's held his own in there. So I think there's definitely other fights for Dalboy out there if he wants to continue, man. Like, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like Dalboy could be like a bit of a gatekeeper. Like, if you beat Dalboy, you should be edging towards a world title shot. I don't think Dalboy will get a shot at the title now.
No. I don't think he expects that either. But yeah. I think there's some good fights out there still for him, man. Like
Takam.
Yeah.
White. I don't know if White would take that. The White's waiting for
White's waiting for the Fury fight, isn't he?
Pulev, the old dogs.
Yeah, there are a couple of those old ones. But Pulev, I think, should retire after that fucking triangle fight, whatever. Well, I can't remember what it's called.
No, he almost killed Frank Mir.
Oh fuck yeah, shit! Frank Mir nearly died. Yeah,
Frank Mir needs to retire.
Yeah. Pulev actually looked all right in that. Yeah.
First, that was a nasty KO. Nasty KO.
Yeah, but he the level of opposition he was fighting that night. So, but yeah, I think there's still fights out there for Derek anyway. And Tyson Fury's always says he wants a trilogy against Chisora to finish off his career. So yeah, that could be another money fight there for him.
What he says, and what he does.
If AJ loses again,
yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna happen because they're like same management, like boxing club and shit, or something like that.
Okay.
I think he's like 268 management or something. Manages both of them, so I don't know if they'd be up for that.
Okay.
But there were some other great fights on that card as well. So if we just go through a couple of the ones on the undercard that stuck out for you. Zalfa Barrett, super featherweight.
Bugsy's boy. Bugsy Malone's boy. Me and Sonny always support Bugsy Malone's boys. Arthur and Zalfa.
I was very happy for, obviously, Zalfa and Pat, especially after like the Lyndon Arthur defeat recently. Zalfa looked very good in there against a fucking tough opponent, man. That Trimo, he's a proper little fella, but he's kept walking forward, man.
He was tiny. I don't think I've seen a boxer that small. But he was strong. He kept coming forward. And like we see,
Zalfa was quite similar to Parker fight. Zalfa was looking for that uppercut the whole night as well. He damaged his hand in like the early rounds. There's some pictures now on his Instagram and stuff, and like his hand is just a balloon. Like, but shout out to Zalfa Barrett. Also, Babic was on the card. I didn't watch that fight, but apparently he made it look harder than it should have in that fight because it was like a last-minute replacement, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, I didn't see that fight either. But I just wanted to go back because I don't think we covered this before about how you felt about the Lyndon Arthur loss in terms of, did you think he got his strategy wrong? Do you think he's just like a bad night at the office? Like how do you feel that? Where does Lyndon go from here now?
It is a weird one because. He basically said afterwards that he felt like no nerves and stuff before the fight. I'm going off his like IFL interview. I think he's just doing it at home or something. It's over Zoom. But he said he felt like no nerves and like he basically thought this guy's going to gas him out, let him keep hitting the arms and stuff, and he's going to gas him out with these shots. But he stood on the ropes, and obviously the punches were getting through.
Yeah,
and they were damaging him. So the game plan was definitely wrong. Whether that's the game plan that him and Pat had come up with together, or whether Pat had come up with a different game plan and he's thrown that out the window and thought, this is a piece of piss, so I'm just going to do this, and then I'll finish him in the later rounds. But apparently, when he was in there, he was thinking, I'll let this guy hit me. He's going to tire himself out, and I'll finish him off in the later rounds. So I don't know whether it was a bit of complacency, but he's a quality boxer, man. He's a better boxer than Anthony Yard.
See, the thing is that like I feel like now, like Arthur gave Yard the rematch, but because Arthur's the promotion, Yard is the promotional guy, he won't get that rematch. They'll put Yard towards like a world title fight, which is a shame, really. But to be fair, Arthur has made his name a little bit more off the Arthur fights.
Massively,
the Yard fight, because no one knew before.
Yeah, the Yard fights helped massively. But yeah, I don't think he'll get a rematch. The fact that the rematch clause was built into the first contract,
Yeah.
like with Frank Warren, he's Frank's golden boy, Anthony Yard.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's going to try and push him for another title shot. He's fought for a title before though,
yeah.
against Kovalev, obviously come up short. But
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see where Lyndon Arthur goes from here. I'm not really sure. I don't think he's very sure either.
Yeah. I think he could headline a card in Manchester. Like he's got that like a name enough where he
Yeah,
could
he
maybe
could look.
yeah.
He could look around. He could look at like moving up a division or something as well. He's quite a big guy, man. Like
Yeah.
he's really tall. So if he could put on some muscle onto the frame, he could potentially move up some divisions and look at some other fights. But yeah, it's not the end. He's still young as well. He's only like I think he's like 28, 29 or something. So yeah. So if he wants to carry on in boxing, of course he can. He's a high level boxer.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. And then the only other fight on that Matchroom card was the main, the one before the main, Cullen versus Sadio. Now I saw this and I literally texted you and I was like, the reach is different. It's like it was a huge reach advantage. And I watched the first bit and I thought, Sadio's getting done here. He's like going to keep it long, but yeah, like similar situation. He kept coming forward, made it dirty in there and caught him with a nice body shot. I feel like it's hard for sometimes when you got a reach advantage. If the guy's just constantly pushing forward, because your game plan going in is to keep it long, and when it doesn't work, you can't keep it long. It's like, I feel like some of these guys don't know how to deal with it. But yeah, I think that's a big win for that Sadio guy. You can tell he meant a lot to him.
You could tell. Fuck it. I think at the end was a bit like, I don't know if it was disrespectful in that, man. Like Cullen's obviously like brutally knocked out, and he's just doing like press ups and like screaming, and, like I don't know,
even the
man.
referee told him off.
Yeah, bit of respect, man. But yeah. One other shout out I want to do on that card as well is David Enyika, man. He was part of the camp with Joseph Parker. He's been training with the Furies as well. He's Olympic silver medalist from New Zealand, and he's moved to 2-0 in the professional ranks. He seems like a cool guy. He says he's going to base himself out in the UK, so we'll see him on plenty more Matchroom cards as well. So congratulations to him for moving 2-0.
Yeah. Shout out. I think that's the last Matchroom card of the year. Fair play. Yeah. It was a good card.
44 cards apparently this year, Eddie Hearn. Yeah. Fucking mental.
I think he did a lot in his back garden though.
But he said he's going for 50 next year. He goes, we've got 44 cards this year. We're going to push for over 50 next year.
He's taking over, man. He's monopolizing that scene. Like I think like Frank Warren's got a few people, but I think the boxing scene's his really now. I think maybe just expanding into America and getting a few American fighters on the card on his books. And that'll be it.
He's got Devin Haney. He's got a couple, but yeah, he does need to expand overseas. And I think it's in a weird position where all the American promoters, they don't want him around. Like he says constantly in his IFL TV interviews and stuff, they give him a bit of a cold shoulder when he's over there.
Yeah,
but the guy is. It's so fucking weird because it's changed so much people's perception of him. Like I feel like he's generally liked now by the majority of the population, whereas he wasn't before.
Yeah, I feel like IFL did him good. Just like his interviews and stuff, it does a lot. It always gets views when he's on.
IFL, no context turn, like all those things help this PR massively in it. So shout out to Eddie, man. Let us come there. Let us do some media work at your shows next year.
How do we get a media pass? How many subscribers do we need?
I think you have to put in some special overtime with him to get a media pass. I'll let you get on with that, lad.
Okay.